It's International Soap Week, so who better to join us than someone who's worked on just about every major British soap going, from directing episodes of Coronation Street, EastEnders, Hollyoaks, and Emmerdale, to acting in Brookside back in the day. He's truly done it all. I am thrilled to welcome Mickey Jones to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me. Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
hi. It's lovely having you. Well, and how lovely to have somebody, as I say, who's been had their finger in the pies of many soaps for here for International
Mm.
Soap Week. Has it been six soaps you've worked on over the years, I think?
So I was in Brookie, was in Family Affairs, directed Family Affairs,
Right.
directed Hollyoaks, Corrie, Emmerdale, and EastEnders, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So did it start? I've been looking at your IMDb page and stuff. Did it start with storylining in Coronation Street? Was that your first
Oh,
one?
well, what happened was I originally started wanting to be an actor,
Yeah.
and it was such a slow start. I ended up doing an MA and a screenwriting MA. So when I
Hmm.
was doing the MA, I did end up being a storyliner, funny enough, on Corrie and Emmerdale and Family
Yeah.
Affairs. So I've got like they're like a magnet to me. They always pull
Mm.
me back,
Yeah,
you
because
know.
I've looked on your Coripedia page. It says you did it's about 4 episodes in the late '90s as storyliner,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that had some quite memorable scenes in as well. There was the one where Alec gets into bed with Betty in the middle of the night, and then you had like Des Barnes's death all in the
yeah.
space of a
Desk
few
get pushed
episodes,
over
didn't you?
onto a table. Yeah, yeah. It
Yeah.
was a busy one.
So what was involved on your side in the storylining of those particular episodes? What were you doing?
I felt like it's a long time ago. Let me think. You went to the story conference,
Hmm.
and storyliners don't really have that much input until they move away from the story conference, and then you thrash all the stories out amongst the story team. So you go to the story conference, you take your notes, you go back to the office, they look for what they think the hooks would be, and then you just start typing up the episodes, really, typing up the story beats, and then putting them into episodes. It was different then because you used to have to structure the episodes as well for the
Okay.
writers. Now, I think they just give them the storylines A, B, C, D, but we actually had to make the episodes what was in the episode that the
Right.
writer
So
wrote. So,
would it be a case of like, so this, oh my God, Chris Gascoigne has just fallen off the wall behind me. It's like, I don't,
plummeted, plummeted.
must be. Anyway, sorry. Well, so you like were saying, well, yeah, this is the scene where the guys come and beat Des over the head. This is when Natalie finds her. Was it kind of like that?
Yeah, you go the A strands, what's happening in the A, and so you'd
Right.
probably have like 25 beats of the A strands, whatever, and then you divide them up into episodes, really. So you
Okay.
go, it's A there, put eight in there, put seven in the next episode, six, five, and then you go away and put all the beats together, and
Yeah, I
you
see.
know.
And was the reason you were just in a handful of episodes there just because it was part of your MA?
Yes, it was part. It was sort of trying to get started, really,
Yeah.
and then I think I went to. It was, you know what? I think it was maternity cover or something,
Okay.
something like that. And
Yeah.
then I went to a little bit of Emmerdale, and
Right.
then I went on to Family Affairs for a bit of a longer stint.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
when did Brookside happen? Was that around about that period as well? Or a bit after?
Well, I was storyline and Family Affairs with Paul Marcus, and he said, "I'm going to produce Brookside." You're
Yeah.
working in this Family Affairs office. He went, "I'm going to produce Brookside," and he knew I'd done little bits of acting, like I'd been in Lovejoy and things, and
Oh
you
yeah.
know, like little things. I've done loads of plays. And he went, "Do you want to come with me?" And I went, "Oh, fabulous. Can I be on the writing team?" I said, and he went, "No, I want you to be in it." So that's how that came about. Although I had acted initially, that's
Yeah.
how it started out. But yeah, that's how that came about.
I don't
No,
think
I
I
want you
don't
to
think
be
I
in it.
yeah, I don't think I saw any of Brookside back in the day. So can you tell me, and I guess some of the listeners, a bit about the character that you played in that?
Okay. Well, basically, Brookside changed television, the way television was, because prior to Brookside, everything was shot in studios. They always have a
Mm.
big studio, like Corrie, like Emmerdale, big
Yeah.
studio section. And then once Brookside happened and they were shooting for real in real houses, everyone started to move away from the studios. So
Oh, I
it
see.
basically killed the studios, but changed television for the better, I think. So that was Brookside in the early days. I was not
Hmm.
involved in that. So many, many years later, um, I came into the show when Paul Marcus was running it, and they have like the George Ash years or the Grant years, or the early years. We
Yeah.
called ourselves the lavender years because it truly became a soap by then. So
Yeah.
my character there was a character in it called Leanne,
Uh-huh.
and she was a nasty piece of work. Everyone absolutely hated Leanne.
Yeah.
She blinded Jackie Dixon. And because Leanne was so awful, they wanted to show another side to her. So they gave her a brother, Lance.
Right.
So Lance came in so you could see the other side of Leanne.
I see. I
But the
see.
funny thing was, Lance could see no wrong in Leanne.
Hmm.
So everything was, oh, Leanne's wonderful. Isn't she the kindest person on the planet? But she wasn't like that at all. And we ended up as bar staff in Bev's bar.
Right.
And what the writers, well, what Paul did, because he absolutely loved Corrie, he tried to recreate Bess, Tanya, and Raquel. He
Oh,
tried to
really?
recreate that sort of thing with them.
Yeah,
I mean, I
that's
haven't
the
seen it for
dynamic.
years. I don't know whether it came off, but that was the inspiration behind like Lance, Leanne, and Bev, who
I
ran the bar.
see. I see.
So,
And am I right in thinking that Lance was one of the gay characters on Brookside? Was that
what gives you that idea? Yeah, he was.
just a little hint? I don't know.
I'd say he was probably one of the first gay characters that went on television to wring the hands and beat themselves up about how awful being gay was.
Right.
So
Okay.
Lance was just a gay character, and that was very rarely mentioned. He was just who he was,
Okay.
So there was no. You always associate like gay characters with the more miserable side of it.
Huh.
So, like, Paul wanted sort of like an antidote to that. He
Yeah.
wanted Lance to be like full on,
Yeah. Well,
all on in your face.
Brookside had already had quite a history of LGBT representation under its
Oh
belt
yeah,
by then
definitely.
anyway,
Yeah,
hadn't it?
yeah,
Wasn't it,
definitely.
was it like the first gay kiss on a
Well, yeah,
pre-watershed kiss or something?
it was the first like lesbian kiss.
Hmm.
But before that, they had like Gordon Collins and they had a hairdresser. So they had quite a few, yeah. But it had always been sort of issue-based stories, like people
Yeah.
getting beaten up or people not wanting to face the sexuality. But I think what Paul wants to do is just look, this is Lance. He's
Hmm.
not bothered about being gay. He is gay. This is who he is. So
Yeah, he's just
I think in a
himself.
way it was a little bit groundbreaking in a way because it was probably the first one that, as I say, wasn't there dealing with issues. So,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I get
you
it.
know,
I mean, soap's a pretty good medium for getting LGBT issues in front of viewers' eyes anyway, isn't it? So whether
yeah,
he
yeah.
was an issues character, that's been a real movement for change and acceptance, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I feel like what Lance sort of made the whole subject a bit because he was quite comical and a lighter character. I think people who normally would have gone, gays, just
Mm,
absolutely loved him.
yeah,
So that's
yeah,
the good thing about it.
absolutely.
So,
I get the impression that Brookside was a bit more of an edgy soap, or a bit modern, and you said it was quite groundbreaking. Having worked in lots of different soaps now, do you get that impression that it was just a bit different feeling?
I definitely think without Brookside, there wouldn't be EastEnders.
Really?
Yeah, 100%, because that sort of came in a similar vein, really being a bit darker, a bit more,
Mm,
bit more not seedier, but a bit more realistic, I
yeah,
suppose.
yeah,
Was I think with Emmerdale, not many of us live in villages, so it's always slightly heightened. We don't really know, do we? But I think it
right.
was a bit more streetwise, a bit more, a bit more on the reality type
Mm,
thing.
mm. Not long after you left the show, Brookside aired its final episode. Did you get the impression that you were working on, a soap that was on borrowed time when you were in it?
Oh, we all knew. I think what had
Yeah.
happened was I think they said you've got 18 months to go before we pull the plug.
Oh, okay.
So they sort of changed the format slightly where there's only be like about 4 characters in 3 episodes. And they
Right.
took it off its normal like weekday schedule and just put an omnibus on at like about
Oh,
half
okay.
11. So I'd say the last like 6 months of it was just like little feature films rather than
Mm.
I seen a clip the other day. What came up and they were actually swearing on it because it was being broadcast at half 11. So they were effing and blinding, and so I was a little
Really?
bit shocked because I'd forgot about that. But yeah, it became a lot more. I think it was basically Phil Redmond going, you
Also,
lot.
am I right in thinking that in the final episode you had one of the characters that was just sitting there and basically giving a critique of the TV landscape at the time and the situation that's got Brookside into this.
Probably. Yeah, probably. And then all the houses were getting boarded up.
Oh, right.
And then he went round with it was Gene Sullivan who played Jimmy Corkill, and then he went round and the sign that said Brookside Close, he sprayed a D, so it said Brookside Closed.
Yeah.
So that was the end of it, really.
So after Brookside, then you ended up behind the scenes, and you were back behind the scenes in a whole bunch of other soaps, weren't you, including Corrie? Was it 2012 that you went back into Corrie again with directing?
Well, initially when I left, when Brookside went, I did some training at the Bill. Like a training course at the Bill on Family Affairs. So my first real directing job was actually on Family Affairs.
Okay.
So I did Family Affairs for a little bit, and then I went to Emmerdale, and then much later I went to Corrie.
Yeah, Family Affairs was another. How long did that go for? That was fairly short-lived, but it had a decent run, didn't it?
I think it might be like 10 years, I feel like it could have definitely got up there. It was fabulous. Let me tell you why, though, Michael, because it didn't really get any publicity. So the way you can open the Sunday papers, or you can get your inside soaps, and you can basically look at the cover and know what's going on that week. Family Affairs didn't get any of that. So if you watched it as a viewer, everything was a shock.
That's what I would love, because I don't like spoilers. I'm a real spoiler phobe.
No, I don't like them.
No, walking down the supermarket, seeing the TV guides there, and it's just like, oh, there's something room for next week.
Yeah, I prefer just the days when you didn't know. Well, Family Affairs, as I say, didn't really get the publicity the others got. So
Yeah. So how long did you stay at Family Affairs for?
Well, I was in it. Initially, I was in it, and do you want to know the story of how I became a director?
Yeah, go for it.
I'd made some short films when we were on Brookside, because they never used to film over weekend. So I made some short films because I knew I was sort of wanting to go in that direction. Then I got a little job acting on Family Affairs as like a town councillor for the area, type the Charnock area, whatever it was called. So as the town council for a bit, and I said to the producer, would you look at my show reel and maybe I could direct an episode? And she would go, oh, okay, I'll have a little look. So she had a little look, and I went, what did you think of it? And she went, yeah, it was good. I went, so can I direct an episode then? And she went, it's too fast, I don't think you'll be able to keep up with it. Anyway, so I've seen it again. I can't see her, please, just one episode. What difference is it going to make if it's crap in the grand scheme of things? No one will even know. So I worked really hard for you. She went, no, I'm sorry, I can't take the chance. And then one day I seen her again, and I went, come on, one episode. And she went, oh, come and see me. And she gave me an episode to do, which was obviously a success, because then she gave me a block. So so basically it went from there.
Brilliant. Do you have would you say you have a particularly unique directing style? Is there, some directors, I know, like to put their own little spin on it. You can say, oh, I know that's a Matt Hilton episode, for example, a Corrie. What makes a Mickey Jones episode?
I would say what I do is I read the script. I don't come with any set thing. I'm going to do this sort of shot. I'm going to do that sort of shot. I'm just interpreting the story as I best see. So I read the script, and whatever jumps out at me initially, obviously, if you've got a big drip and tap, you can do a shot. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to interpret the story. I'm not trying to, do Hitchcock shots or any of that rubbish. Don't get me wrong. If I see a fabulous shot on something, I'll use that somewhere. But it has to be within the keeping of the scene, really. So I just approach every scene like it's a little play, and I think, how would this best be served?
Yeah.
So so I'm not really going in with shots and things.
Yeah.
But I like a lot of movement with artists. I'm not really one for people sitting down. I like people to be busy doing things and
Okay.
Yeah, so I won't let them sit down unless they're in the pub or in the cafe. They'll have to sit down.
Yeah. So would you say that your experience as an actor influenced your approach as a director?
Definitely, because when I'm reading the script and I think, oh, is that motivation for her to leave the room, or would that be motivation for them to head upstairs? So I do sort of probably approach it with a bit more of an actor's head on, of the movements of the artist. I never feel oh, that doesn't feel quite right. I suppose I play all the parts before I shoot it. You should see my Carla. Fantastic.
But each soap has got quite a unique tone as well, doesn't it? You know, you've got the
Oh yeah.
humour of Corrie, the grit of EastEnders, the youth in Hollyoaks. How do you adjust your directing style to fit each show's identity?
Well, as I say, I just try to interpret the story. So I don't really. It's hard to describe. I don't go in thinking, oh, I'm gonna reinvent the wheel
Yeah.
or I'm gonna make this. I don't like things that take the viewer out of it. I don't like if I'm watching something, then I'll see. Like there was a director I used to think was fantastic. I'm not going to name or whatever, but he used to absolutely brilliant stuff. And I'd always watch his stuff and go, oh my God, this is fantastic. And then one day I went, God, this is so tedious. I don't even know where I am because it was shot was shot through a mirror, through a
Yeah.
stained glass door. I was like, I actually don't even know where I am. So I don't like people to, I just want to service the story and I
Mm.
don't want the viewing to jar for people.
Mm.
I want
Yeah,
it
I
to be
get it.
smooth
Yeah.
and, so.
Would you say that each soap like has a house style? Are you constrained by, in Corrie we do things this way, and in Hollyoaks we
Um,
can do things this way if you like.
I don't think so much. I think it's more with the writing really than what we do.
Okay.
So, and what I like EastEnders have very quick scenes
Mhm.
sometimes, whereas you might get like, Sharon walks across the square or, and then you see it in the house.
Mm.
So it's you can do much more like creative things, like get a bit of foreground as she's walking or whatever. I feel like the others are probably, because they can have like 29 scenes in an episode.
Right.
So it makes it much quicker. But I think on like Corrie, Emmerdale, and that, because the scenes are really are much longer, you've got to think of ways to make them so it just doesn't become cross shoot, cross shoot, cross shoot. You've got to
Mm.
think of ways to move your artist around so it's still like visually pleasing and you're
Mm.
not just on the same two shots all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
You know.
back in the early days, scenes used to be even longer, didn't they, on Corrie and the other soaps? But
Oh yeah.
I do like it sometimes when they have a good, 7, 8, 9 minute scene. It doesn't happen very much, but there've been some really fantastic ones of those over the years too.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially like EastEnders do them two-handed episodes, don't they?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which are
yeah.
always good. Or Corrie, I did like a little episode of just the Barlows, just Ken, Peter, Sinead and Daniel.
Oh, I know
So
that
every
one.
now
Yeah,
and again they do sort of, trim the cast down and do more and more intense
yeah,
episodes. So I feel
yeah,
like they all complement each other well, though. As you say, they've all got different styles, haven't they? Different
yeah.
styles of writing and storytelling.
I'd
So.
I'd love to know what are some of your favorite things about each of the soaps. What do you particularly like about Corrie? What do you particularly like about Emmerdale?
I love Corrie because it's close to home. No, I love Corrie. I think it's got when you've got a good older generation of people there. All the old ones, Rita, Sue Nichols, and all them. I love being with them. I think you've
Hmm.
got much broader comedy characters,
Hmm.
so I feel like you get a good balance of comedy and drama. So
Hmm.
that's good about Corrie. Emmerdale, you've got the most fantastic location in the
Yeah.
village. And I feel like you've got really like well-rounded characters in Emmerdale. You've got a good variety. And I feel like some of the actresses in Emmerdale are just superb. You just, like Charlotte Bellamy or
Hmm.
Emma Atkins, Zoe
Yeah.
Henry, Laura Nutt, all of them. There's not like a bad actress in the show. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
It's like, oh my God, I'm getting to work with all these fabulous people. So that's all good. Um, EastEnders, I love the grittiness of it. I love that it's punchier. The scenes are really punchy.
Hmm.
And again, that's like teaming with fabulous actors, loads of history, loads of legendary characters. You get a good variety. You could have like Phil Mitchell in one scene, but the next you've got Kim and Denise, and
Mm.
Kim's hysterical. So
They're
I
doing a
feel
lot
like
with
they all
comebacks at the moment in EastEnders, aren't they? Again, I don't watch it, but I'm hearing that lots of characters are being brought back from back in
they're
the
loving
day.
a comeback. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're loving I think it was with the 40th, leading up to the 40th
Mm.
anniversary. So I think they really wanted to celebrate it.
Yeah.
But I did an episode with like Michael French, who played David Wicks, and
Hmm.
Bianca was in it, and Sonia was in it, and Cindy was in it. And just for a minute, it was like, God, it's back to the 90s. It was like second generation EastEnders. It was
Yeah.
fantastic. It was like, oh my God, this is just amazing. They're like people, because I was younger then, obviously, who I just watched on telly,
Mm.
and suddenly I'm standing with Bianca Jackson and Sonia, and
Yeah, because even like I watched, I think think I watched 2 episodes in the 40th anniversary, or I watched the live and maybe the one before it. And I was thinking, yeah, I recognise some of these characters from the 90s. I don't know who these are. It was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
No,
There was a lot of comebacks. I feel like it was good though because it's good to reconnect with the past, isn't it?
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
they also had, of course, Anita Dobson on the live episode. That surprise appearance there.
yeah,
Hello,
that was amazing.
darling.
And they actually kept that secret, which
Yeah.
is, so I feel like it's better if things are kept secret.
Oh,
You know,
100%. Yeah, dedefinitely. What haven't we talked about? Hollyoaks?
Hollyoaks, well, you know what? I feel like obviously they're newer actors.
Hmm.
So you can spend, I mean, obviously you've got your old hands like Jennifer, who plays Mercedes, and all those old ones like Ashley Taylor Dawson and Nick Pickard. They're fantastic. They're the old school, the old guard. Well, you're getting maybe newer, younger actors, what you could spend a little bit more time with, give them a little bit more guidance. Obviously, you can't tell Doc Cotton how to act. I can't give her notes. She knows better than I know. So I feel like you can probably be a little bit more supportive to younger people in that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. So do you have any loyalties? Like when the soap awards come around, is there anyone where you're
Yeah.
particularly like, oh, I'm really on team Corrie or what have you?
Um,
Or wouldn't you want to say?
No, it's not that. I feel like I never go anyway, so I'm never there. It would probably be different if you're in the moment. The only times that I've ever been, I've been on the losing teams. I, I feel like they all go through little bits of that, don't they? I
Yeah.
feel like EastEnders, because it's 40th year, I think it is it. I think everyone worked really hard. So I was sort of rooting for them this year. But no, because you work on them all and you've invested in them all,
Mm,
like I want them all to do well. I'd love them all to win,
yeah.
especially like when it's not so much the best soap, but when it's the individuals and you see like Lacey Turner, who's brilliant, is
Mm,
up against Kelly Bryce, who's brilliant, is up against, Ali King, who's brilliant. It's
yeah.
just, you know,
Mm,
so you
mm,
sort of want them all to do well, but no, I've got no major loyalty to any of them really, but
mm.
I love them all, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean.
Is it common for directors to move from soap to soap to soap? Or is
You
it special to
you
you that
see
you
how you see how I'm full of them all. My philosophy is though, Michael, just stay long enough and then
right?
move on. So before they rumble, yeah. I don't know. I've always just wandered around the four of them really. So I've always just bobbed about them.
Mm.
Uh, I don't know why. It's just turned out. I mean, there are a few others who do it, but I don't think many of them do all four, do they? I feel
I
like
thought so. I don't know. Maybe
yeah,
it's more common among the two ITV soaps,
yeah.
possibly.
The two ITV ones do a lot of swapping, but
Mm.
yeah, I mean, obviously you see people who like the ITV ones. We all sort of know. Well, we don't know each other,
Yeah,
but we're all like connected. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. I'm kind of getting the impression from this chat so far, Mickey, that you really, really love soap opera. There's something about what you're saying to me. What is it about soap that appeals to you so much that you're dedicating your life to it?
I think the real appeal is the sort of reality of it. It's like based everyday life, isn't it? I like the everydayness of it,
Yeah.
especially of yesteryear. Just
Mm.
everyday sort of, ambulance, people chatting, gossiping. I love all that. But my favourite soap is, and you
What?
probably don't even know it, Not Landing, which is a spin-off from Dallas.
Okay, I
And that
can't say I've
is
seen
my
any of that.
ultimate. I think it's been finished for 30 years. That was my ultimate soap. That's what I love best of all.
Why? What was
So,
it about Knots Landing that was so appealing to you?
well, it was a spin off from Dallas, but it wasn't as heightened as Dallas. It was a bit more realistic. Again, it was just set in like a little cul-de-sac, four little houses. But I just absolutely loved it. It was one of those. I used to be on of an afternoon as well. I mean, when I first came to the UK, it was like 9 o'clock Friday nights. But eventually, it just became like Wednesday afternoon,
Hmm.
and it was just like must see for me. So
So,
yeah, I just love it. I love the characters. I love the relationships. I love how people fall out one minute and they've got to make friends the next.
yeah.
You wouldn't get characters like like Kat and Alfie anywhere else other than
Mm.
soaps, would you? And they're brilliant characters, and I feel like people can relate to them
Yeah.
and want to be them, aspire to be them.
Yeah, 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 for sure. How would you say that the genre has evolved over the years? Because you've been in the biz for 25, 30 years or more now. So
Mm.
how is soap different now to how it was?
But I think it's all going to hit a big reset.
Really?
I feel like it's going to go back to brass tacks
Mm, mm,
before the next 2 years.
yeah.
I feel like
Um,
because EastEnders sort of reset itself,
right.
and
Yeah.
that's doing
They
really
had
well. So I feel
is
like
it like Chris Clanshaw, was it, came in as producer in EastEnders recently
he's
and
amazing. Yeah, he was
turned
amazing,
it.
absolutely
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But you see, the key, Michael, is you've got to love soap. You cannot feel you're above it or you're just doing it as a stepping stone. You've got to love it,
Mm,
And Chris loved it,
yeah.
as
Yeah.
I love it,
Mm,
as loads of people love it. It's like accessible, isn't it? And then for giving people jobs and people little starts on the careers, even if they're coming in as runners or whatever, it just provides a lot of work for people, and it's just a great
mm.
place. And it's cliched, but you do get to know people really well, and you look forward to going back because you see people on the job, and it's just great. It's a great spirit, a great
Yeah.
sense of
Yeah.
community backstage, behind the scenes. There's a big sense of community, which is
Mm.
also reflected on screen. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I love them.
absolutely. Something I've noticed, and lots of viewers have, as a big change recently in soap as well, in Coronation Street, I suppose, is that there's a few more visual effects in the shows. Like I think earlier this year, you were involved in some scenes that were with the Seb hallucinations, weren't you? And Abby was
Oh yeah, we
having
did do some of
flashbacks
them.
in it.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you find tackling scenes like that go kind of against the norm for soaps, I suppose?
I suppose I had to say to like Kate, who was the producer, what was her vision? How did she want them? Did she want them all to sort of look like unified, that they're all similar, even though they're shot by different people? Did they have to have a certain look about them? So you're taking information from Kate, and then I just felt with Abby, it was a bit more like a horror story,
Yeah,
So that's the way I approached them. Really, that she was getting the fright, and it was a bit of a bit of a horror moment. I always think it works well, things like that, if there's a mirror or a reflection involved. I
hmm,
always think you can make them work better because it's sort of like you're not seeing it in your world, you're seeing it in another world, if you know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah. I
saying.
know what you
Yeah.
mean.
So
How,
yeah,
go on, go
basically.
on.
So I just went horror. I just thought horror. It needs to be a bit of a horror film because of the mental state what she was going through as
Oh,
well.
sure, no,
It
it
wasn't like
reflected that really well.
when Angie appeared to Sharon, that
Yes.
was like a loving sort of,
Yeah.
you've got to come through, you've got to like fight and need to live another day. So obviously you'd approach that completely different. But
Mm, mm. Would
Abby's
you?
was psychotic, wasn't it? It was really
I know it
linked to
was. It
that
was.
trauma.
How do you see the soap landscape changing in the years to come?
I feel like we all got to have a recess. I feel like we're going to go back to more like low key stories of relationships. Look how well like Swallow's done. That's how you say it.
I
The
think so.
amalgamation of the names.
Yeah.
That because that's just about heartfelt relationships, isn't it? And love.
Mm,
And I feel like that's what people like. I want to see people in the pub gossiping and things.
mm.
But the
Yeah.
problem with that is people don't get old anymore. So you've got your Bessie and your Edna and your Pearl gossiping in Emmerdale.
Mm,
Now in Emmerdale, you've got like Louise Jameson, who's fabulous, but she's probably older than they were. But she
yeah.
just looks, she doesn't look like an old person.
No, no, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, in Coronation Street, I suppose Evelyn is the closest to that. I kind
Yeah.
of would like them to get another Ena, Minnie, Martha kind of trio with
Oh,
Evelyn
yeah, it'd
and
be
two of her
amazing, wouldn't it?
mates.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because
that'd be amazing.
that's the kind of thing that a lot of people will say is classic Corrie. I mean, what does classic Corrie mean to you?
Classic Corrie is Bet Lynch, Betty Tape, and Annie Walker in the bar. People going in for the lunchtime pie and the pint. That's classic Corrie to me. You
Hmm.
know, yeah, that's classic.
Yeah, yeah. So getting back then to some of the work you've done on Coronation Street. You've been a director for 13 or so years there now. What are some big episodes that you've been involved in that I guess our listeners will remember?
Let me just say this: it's making the mundane look interesting. That's the real skill. Okay,
Right.
so car crashes, people getting shot, they shoot themselves.
Yeah.
But it's making those domestic things look interesting, which is the good thing. What was I say? Like Corrie wise, I like the Barlow episode that I did. And I've got like real like mushy brain. I can't think of anything else. Um, um, I used to like doing the stuff which was Kirsty and Tyrone when there was
Yes,
the
that was a great
domestic
story.
violence. So all that I loved doing all that. That was great. Um, and I loved like Stella in the bar, that sort of new generation of landlady coming in. I thought that was all good.
Yeah.
I think what else? I don't really think about major big ones, to be honest.
Did
On
you
Corrie.
did you have much were you working on Corrie much during the whole Pat Phelan saga? Because I loved that.
I actually wasn't, I just
Ah,
did a little bit the tail end before he left, really. I think he had someone locked in a cellar, a basement.
yeah, Andy.
Um, yeah, so I did a little bit of that, but that was sort of coming to an end by the time I got back on, because
Uh,
he was in it, wasn't he? Then he was out of it, and then he was in. He
uh,
was really heavy for about 2 years, but I don't think I was in favour then.
you said that one of the challenges on Coronation Street or any soap is making the mundane seem interesting. I mean, can you think of, and it can be to do with that if you like, but can you think of any particular scenes that you remember being a real challenge to shoot? Something that at the end of it you thought that was a real struggle, but I think I nailed it in the end.
To be honest, I thought the COVID years were really difficult.
Yeah, I bet.
I thought they were really difficult because you sort of want to keep it feeling like it's not happening,
Mm,
that it's today. So they were, and then I did some episodes early back from COVID, which I was really pleased with the choreography of people. So they were never close to each other, but
yeah.
they still felt like they lived together. Like
Mm.
keeping Sally busy in the kitchen and Tim busy in his area. So I found all that really challenging, to be honest.
Did you go between the different soaps during then? Because each soap kind of had a different approach to getting through COVID, didn't they? Because I think EastEnders did a little bit more SFX to make it look like they were together. You had Emmerdale that had their kind of two-handers.
Yeah, no, basically, I just went between Corrie and Emmerdale, really.
Right. Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
just bouncing between those two, which was really the same rules in place for both of them. But you look back now, it was ludicrous, but we didn't know we didn't know what was going on, really, did we? You
No,
know,
no, no.
you'd like someone would hold a prop, then they put it down, and the prop man would wipe it, put it down, then the other person would pick it up. It was like, oh, everything was taking forever. So yeah, they were very challenging. And sometimes I'd look at them and go, actually, that turned out all right. Or you'd use a plate shot and they'd look much closer than they were. So you go, well, that didn't turn out too bad.
Are there any favorite actors that you've worked with over the years across all of the soaps?
Right, well, do you know what? I think most of them are absolutely brilliant,
Hmm.
really good at the job, to have that instant access to their emotions. They surprise me constantly. But one person who I absolutely loved working with was Val on Emmerdale,
Hmm.
Charlie Hardwick, because she could just make anything funny. You get a script and you go, oh, that's not really. But as soon as she'd read it or say it or act it, she was just absolutely amazing. So
Um,
she's like, if I ever took over Emmerdale, she'd be the first person I'd bring back. And I'd say she was living in the walls. And do you remember the canoe man?
no.
It was a real life story. The
Was it?
wife pretended the husband was dead, but he lived
Yeah.
in the walls of a house. They claimed loads of insurance money.
So that's where
So
Val's been.
I'd do that. Val's been in Pollard's walls for the last 10 years.
And what
Yeah.
about in Corrie? Anyone stand out for you particularly there?
Could I say Sally Ann Matthews, please?
Yes, of course you can. We are very much supporters and lovers of her work here.
Obviously, now you've got like Sally Ann's fantastic. You've got Jane Hazelgrove, Sue Devaney. You've got
Oh
loads
yeah.
of fantastic, do you know what? Very rarely get to work with Sue Devaney.
Really?
Just one of those things. Very rarely come, had anything with her.
No, and she's been back for what, 5 years or so now, and it's only really this year with the dementia story that she's really kind of picked up in the number of
Yeah,
appearances, isn't it?
yeah, fantastic though. But
Mm.
I always like to say I miss Betty Turpin by a week. She left the
Oh,
week before I started, and
bless her.
likewise, Barbara Windsor left a week before I started. So they're my two
They must
biggest
have heard you were
regrets.
coming.
I must have. On Corrie, usual, I love those matriarchs on Corrie. Obviously, Maureen Lipman, fantastic, isn't she? You
Yeah.
got to wake up Maureen Lipman. I had a soft spot for Rula. I loved Rula when she played
Yeah.
Claudia
Lord,
Darling.
yeah.
So EastEnders, obviously Sharon Watts goes without saying.
Hmm.
Linda's brilliant, Sharon Watts. There's loads on that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Have you,
and then obviously I mentioned before that Emmerdale actresses, Laurel, Rona,
yeah.
Charity, Chaz, they're all fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic.
And who did you most enjoy working with when you were on Brookside?
Well, Brookside was a different source of soap in as much as there wasn't many like community sets.
Right.
But lucky enough, we were in the bar, so we used to get to see a lot of people. But I'd say like my favourites were Leanne, Vicky Gates, who played my sister,
Hmm.
Sarah White, who played Bev, and I've got a soft spot for Steve and Pinder, who played Max. So
Right.
they were my favourites to be
Yeah,
with.
yeah. See, I don't know much about any of the Brookside actors, but see Claire Sweeney, who's now in Corrie, she was in Brookie, wasn't
She
she?
was
Was she on at the
Claire
same time as
Jane.
you, or was she a bit
She
before?
was actually, yeah, we were on it,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Well,
Yeah.
she was in she turned lesbian in her story. She became so I think I haven't got much memory, but I think they may have filmed on a location in a gay club, and
Oh,
my
yeah.
character spots her house, and then I think he spreads a little bit of gossip that Lindsay Corkill's a lesbian.
Yeah, I love her. I think Cassie's great on Corrie. I think she's a really strong addition to the cast.
And I think she works so well with Simon Gregson. I feel like they work really
Yeah.
well together, don't they?
Yeah, really does.
Yeah.
Have you done any? We've talked so much about soap during this, but have you done any work outside of the soap genre, or is that just been your bread and butter all the time?
To be truthful, I like making the odd little short film. I did some Waterloo Road.
Oh yeah.
Uh, yeah, so but mainly it's soap. I just I love it
Mm.
because you're busy all week and you get your weekends off. What's
Yeah,
not to love?
yeah. Are there any other shows out there that you think one day you'd like to be able to direct or work behind the scenes on, or even
And
anything that
then
you've seen where you think, oh, I wish I'd directed that?
oh god, all the time when you book yourself up and then people like people measure like the jumping ground messaged me the other week to see if I was free, and you're sort of like, oh, I'm booked up to be honest. So, but it's like, do you get booked up or do you take the chance to not get booked up?
Mm.
What you do. It's sort of like a devil deep blue sea. So I mean, mainly I'd say I wish I worked on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'd love to be involved with them. But no, it's more things like Yellowstone and Law and Order and stuff like that, like
Mm.
more American stuff. I go, oh, if only.
Yeah. You're sticking in the UK for now, though.
Well, I feel like I'm coming to the end of my working life. So yeah, probably.
Thank you so much, Mickey, for coming and joining us today. That was fascinating. It was really lovely to hear about your experience across all the soaps. And we've talked to lots of actors here on Conversation Street, but I always love hearing from the people behind the scenes as well. So thank you really much. It was
Oh
really
yeah, we're far
insightful.
more interested than actors, Michael. Get us on. No, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for asking me, and it's been a pleasure. And hopefully, I'll run into you in real life one day.
I hope so. Yeah, maybe we will. All right. I will let you
Do you
go.
ever
See
come
you
up
now.
though? Do you ever come up?
We do.
We'll
Yeah, we do.
talk
We do.
later.
And that's fine. We can carry on if you like. It's all right. Yeah, we do. We're coming up next week, actually.
All right. Oh my God.
Yeah, or which will be
Oh
this week by the time that this actually ends up going
yeah,
out. But
yeah. I probably will be about next week. But
no.
next time you come, please let me know.
Yeah, we will try and arrange
We'll
something together.
catch up. Yeah,
Okay. Right.
fabulous.
Anyway, thank you again, and we'll let you go. Try, Mickey. Bye.
Thanks, folks. Bye.